Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. Today's video is my 2019 anticipated reads part 1. Despite the fact that this video is just part 1 and it is from January to June, it was still really hard to narrow it down to just a few books, so this video wasn't like a million hours long. So I have picked 19 of the books that are coming out between January and June this year. I am super excited for all of them. I need all of them right now. First up is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I'm sure no one is surprised that this is on here. I am a huge fan of Leigh's books, and I remember reading the Grisha trilogy and thinking to myself, Nikolai needs his own book. He deserves it, okay? And it is finally happening. He is getting his own book. It is King of Scars. Nina is going to be in it. It's going to have multi-POV. We know a lot about it already. It is January. This is weeks away, guys. It is weeks away from being in my hands, and I can't deal with it right now. Poor old Nikolai needs to refill Ravka's coffers. He has got enemies at his borders. He needs to forge new alliances, and he needs to stop a rising threat to the once great Grisha army. Unfortunately for my poor little cinnamon roll Nikolai, the dark magic within him grows more powerful each day. I feel like really bad things are going to happen to him, guys. To sort out that little problem though, Nikolai is going to be teaming up with a young monk and a legendary Grisha scholar, and they're going to go off on a legendary epic journey to vanquish the evil within him. Hopefully quickly and with no pain and suffering. Honestly, I still just can't believe that we're finally getting a Nikolai book. It's finally happening. Next up is The Gilded Walls by Roshani Chokshi. This is set in Paris in 1889, and the Exposition Universelle has breathed new life into the streets of Paris. The side effect of that being that it's dredged up ancient secrets. We have our MC, his name is Severin. He is a treasure hunter and a wealthy hotelier. I don't know how you say it. He is sought out by the Order of Babel, who need him to locate an ancient artifact for them. In exchange for him doing that, they will give him his true inheritance. But in order to locate said artifact, he's going to need a little bit of help from some experts, namely an engineer, a historian, a dancer, and a brother in all but blood. I'm super intrigued by this one. I'm super excited. I heard about it last year, or was it 2017? And I've been looking forward to it because it sounds a little bit different, but it also kind of sounds like Six of Crows kind of vibes if it was set in Paris in 1889. Next up is Slayer by Kirsten White. We have Nina and her twin Artemis, and they have grown up at the Watchers Academy, and they have been trained to act as guides for Slayers. Nina, however, has never quite embraced the violent lifestyle of the Watchers. She ends up following her instinct to heal and carves herself a place at the academy as a medic, but then her life completely changes. Thanks to our old pal Buffy, who is, you know, the Slayer that Nina's father died protecting. Nina is now not only the new chosen one, but she is the last Slayer ever. Nina has to hone her skills with Leo, her watcher in training, and she has plenty to keep her occupied. We've got a monster fighting ring, we have a demon who eats happiness, a shadowy figure appearing in her dreams, which is ominous as. But when the bodies start turning up, Nina's powers are truly tested because someone she loves could be next. In case you guys didn't already know, I completely freaking love Buffy. I do frequently rewatch it. It's at least once a year that I do rewatch it. I completely love it. It never gets old. I have favourite seasons, favourite episodes. Like, I think my favourite season is season 4/season 5. Some of my favourite episodes are the musical episode, the Halloween episode in season 2. But the basic point here is that I am a huge Buffy fan. Huge. And I really freaking love Kirsten's book. She is one of my favourite authors, and I completely lost my mind when I found out that my favourite author was doing a book to do with my favourite show, and I literally cannot wait to get my hands on this book and see what Kirsten has done with the whole Slayer mythology and what she's going to bring to the table. I've heard good things from the American reviewers who have reviewed it already, and I'm so excited, and I just need it now. I need it now, guys. Next up is Circle of Shadows by Evelyn Skye. We have Sora and her Gemina Damon, and they are apprentice warriors for the Society of Tagus, and they have been marked by the gods to be trained in magic and the fighting arts in order to protect the kingdom of Kitchona. Their graduation is coming up, and they are looking forward to proving themselves worthy of joining the elite warrior group. But it's kind of hard to make your mark in a kingdom that's been free of violence since a years ago rebellion. When they encounter a group of mysterious soldiers while on a scouting mission, the only logical choice for them for their kingdom is to infiltrate the group. I completely and utterly loved Evelyn's The Crown's Game duology. The Crown's Game got me out of a huge reading slump, and I remember being completely fascinated and enchanted by the magic system she created and the world, and I love the characters. But I have been so excited for this book ever since it was mentioned in the newsletter, and I actually got sent an arc of it to review by the publisher, and what I didn't realise is that it is set in a world that is based on feudal Japan according to the back of the book, which made me even more excited. Ship of Smoke and Steel by Django Rexler. I am so sorry if I just pronounced your name wrong. We have Azoka. She is our main character. She is 18 years old. She is a ward boss in the port city of Kanzoka, but when her ability to access the Well of Combat is discovered by the Empire, which is, you know, something she should have disclosed so she could be in His Imperial Majesty's service, she is sent on an impossible mission. She has to seal Soliton, which is a legendary ghost ship, one that no one has ever returned from, and if she fails, her sister's life is forfeit. They had me at legendary ghost ship, basically. That was all I needed to see. The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. We have Queen Sabrin. She is still unwed, but she has to conceive a daughter to protect the realm from destruction. However, there are assassins getting closer, so it's just as well that she has Ede. Ede is an outsider at court, but she has attained a position as lady-in-waiting. While she is loyal to a secret society of mages, she secretly uses forbidden magic to protect Queen Sabrin. Then across the Dark Sea we have Tane. She has been training her entire life to be a dragon rider, and she is forced to make a decision that could unravel her whole life. Alongside all of that, the divided East and West absolutely refuse to play nicely, and the forces of chaos are waking up. I completely love Samantha, okay? I love her. I love her books. The Bone Season series is one of my absolute favourites. I love how each book adds in more and more. I love the pacing of it. It's so original, but I also completely love Samantha as a person. She is one of the kindest authors I have ever met. Like, we're talking signed an entire stack of books and smiled the entire time as if her wrist probably wasn't dropping off at this point. I have been so excited for this book ever since she first mentioned it. It is a hefty book, it's chunky, it's fantasy, it's going to be epic. As you can probably tell from the description, we are going to have some badass female characters, so I cannot wait to get stuck in. It is coming up swiftly on my TBR, and I'm slightly worried that I'm going to end up reading it until like 6 o'clock in the morning, but hopefully I have some self-control. Four Dead Queens by Astrid Schultz. Carolee is our main character. She is a dipper for the Concord, which is basically the central region uniting the 4 quadrants of the Quadara. In this nation, each quarter is divided from each other, and 4 queens rule together, one ruling one region each. We have Toria, which is the intellectual quarter, valuing education and ambition. We have Ludia, which is the pleasure quarter, which values celebration, entertainment and passion. We have Archaea, which is the agricultural quarter, and they value simplicity and nature. And we have Ionia, which is the futurist quarter, valuing technology, stoicism and harmonious community. Carolee basically intercepts this comms disc from the House of Concord, and she sees all 4 of the queens being murdered in 4 very brutal ways. Yay. She then teams up with Varin Bolt, who is the Ionian messenger that she stole it from in the first place, and they decide to complete the original job to see if the intended recipient leads them to the culprit. Honestly, I'm so here for this. I'm intrigued by the world, I'm intrigued by the murder mystery element, and I'm also intrigued by a female character that's like, let's solve the murder to get the information to sell it to the highest bidder. Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. We have Kieran as our main character. He has grown up on tales of grand quests and long lost princes, much like the rest of us. Unfortunately for him, he gets claimed against his will as the son of a long lost treasonous prince. But you know, being a long lost prince isn't all that the storybooks made it out to be. Shocker. Rather than living the dream, Kieran finds himself practically a prisoner at the mercy of his new family's ambitions and power plays. Turns out the storybooks lied about a lot of things, like, you know, dragons, demons, gods, prophecies, true love, and, you know, the hero always winning. But then again, maybe he's not the hero because he is not destined to save the kingdom, he is destined to destroy it. I am so here for an MC that is going to destroy things instead of saving them. I'm so excited to meet Kieran and go on this journey with him and see how things turn out. Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. Rosmira is her father's chosen heir. She has trained her whole life to become a warrior and lead her village. Unfortunately for her, her coming of age trial is sabotaged and she fails, which means she gets banished to the monster-filled wilderness by her father with an impossible quest. In order to win back her honour, she has to kill the oppressive god that takes tribute from the village each year or die trying. I really loved Trisha's duology, The Daughter of the Pirate King. While this book doesn't have the pirates and the sirens in, it does sound like a nice change of pace from that, and I'm intrigued by it and the world and the oppressive god. Plus I'm looking forward to yet another badass female MC. Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. I have been following Emily on Twitter for a while, and I have seen her tweeting about her work in progress and seeing her tweet more and more about it and throw out hints for it. The book sounds awesome from its synopsis alone, but if you go to Emily's Twitter, which I'll link down here so you can go and do it, she has been tweeting out little tidbits about it, and every time she tweets it makes me more impatient for this book. It's not out until April, but I need it now. I need it now. Please, someone, I beg. We have a girl who can speak to the gods and has to save her people without destroying herself, a prince in danger who must decide who to trust, and a boy with a monstrous secret waits in the wings. Together, the three of them must assassinate the king and stop the war. In a centuries-long war, their three paths intertwine in a shadowy world of spilled blood and mysterious saints, where a forbidden romance threatens to tip the scales between light and dark. This book, let alone this trilogy, is going to be full of gothic-y goodness, and I just need to get my hands on it right now. That sounds awesome on its own, but literally just go to Emily's Twitter, have a little scroll through and read what else she has been posting about this book, because my god, it's going to have A+ representation, it's going to have some epic characters, and then we're going to get even more epic characters in book 2 by the sound of it. I would sell my soul, or at least a spare internal organ, for an arc of this book. Not gonna lie. The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. Poor old Magnus just wants to have a nice chill vacation with Alec. But as soon as they settle into Paris, an old friend of Magnus's arrives with news about a demon worshipping cult called the Crimson Hand. They're causing chaos around the world, and apparently it was founded by Magnus himself years ago as a joke. Disappointed. Not surprised. Magnus and Alec have to race across Europe to track down the Crimson Hand and its elusive leader before it can cause any more damage. But demons are dogging their every step, and they're going to have to trust each other more than they ever have before, even if they have to reveal a few secrets that they've been keeping. It is no secret that aside from Will, my other favourite character in the entire Shadowhunters series is Magnus. I love him, I love his snark, he is hilarious, and I have been so praying that he gets his own book. I know he's got his novella bind up, but it's just not the same. Aside from that, this is an adult book, and I'm really intrigued to see how Cassie writes an adult book and to see how she and Wesley work together. I've not read any of his other books, I honestly don't really know anything about him, so I'm intrigued to see what the two of them are going to bring to the table, but I am so excited to get a book full of Magnus and Alec. Malik book, all of the Malik, all of it. I am literally so impatient for this book. It's not even funny. Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. Princess Hesina of Yan is forever shirking the responsibilities of the crown, but when her father is murdered, she is thrust into power as the queen of an unstable kingdom. She is 100% determined to find the killer of her father, so she engages the aid of a soothsayer, which is not only a desperate act, but also a treasonous one too, punishable by death because magic was outlawed in the kingdom. Using the information provided by said treasonous soothsayer, Hesina turns to Akira, who is a detective and also a convicted criminal. Honestly, this just sounds like it's going to be 100% awesome, I can't lie. Chinese-inspired fantasy, outlawed magic, murder mystery, and a detective who's a criminal. What is there not to like about that? We Rule the Night by Claire Eliza Bartlett. Revna is a factory worker manufacturing war machines for the Union of the North, but she gets caught using illegal magic and she fears being imprisoned as a traitor. Meanwhile, at the front lines, we have Lynn, who defied her general father and pulled a Mulan on us. She disguised herself as a boy to join the fight. They get offered a way out of their punishment by using their magic in a special military women's flight unit to go on deadly missions. Unfortunately, they can barely stand to be in the same cockpit. After seeing some early reviews of this on Goodreads, I'm really intrigued by the magic system and the vibe of the book. I'm sensing certain things already, but I can't wait to dig into it and see what it's really like. The Hummingbird Dagger by Cindy Anstey. This is a historical mystery set in 1883. Cindy has written plenty of historical romance before, but this is her first YA book. We have Lord James Ellaby, who witnesses a near fatal carriage accident, and he brings the injured young woman back to his estate to recuperate. But when she regains consciousness, she has no memory of who she is. Beth, as she calls herself, has the rough hands of a servant, but she has the education and bearings of a lady. The only clue that they have to her identity is a recurring nightmare that she has about a hummingbird dripping blood from its steel beak. With the help of James and his sister Caroline, Beth slowly begins to unravel the mystery around her identity and the sinister circumstances that brought her to their door. Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Our main character Elizabeth was raised as a foundling by one of the great libraries in Ostermere. She has been raised with the knowledge that all sorcerers are complete evil because she has basically been raised among all of the sorcerers' grimoires which are kept under chains because they're, you know, dangerous. If you provoke a grimoire, they transform into grotesque monsters of leather and ink. She wants to become a warden charged with protecting the kingdom from their power. However, an act of sabotage releases the most dangerous grimoire and Elizabeth is implicated in the crime. She has no one to turn to except for her sworn enemy Nathaniel Thorne, who is a sorcerer. She, Nathaniel, and his demonic servant become entangled in a centuries-old conspiracy. The cover, the synopsis, do I need to say more? I just completely love the sound of magical grimoires becoming actual monsters. Annelise Rising by Brenda Drake. A stranger gives our main character Annelise a list of names before he dies, and hers happens to be on it. So in order to get answers, she tracks down the man's grandson Marek. Both of them are completely determined to unlock the truth of the list, but the truth is deadly. Turns out Annelise is a descendant of the god of death, aka a riser, and she has the ability to raise the dead and control them. But you know, Annelise isn't overly stoked about the fact that she can turn corpses into killers. She and Marek find herself planted in the middle of this war between gods and they want to raise an army of risen, and Annelise needs to figure out how to save the world from herself. I really loved the uniqueness and the originality to Brenda's Library Jumpers trilogy, and this sounds completely awesome. I've heard it pitched a couple of different ways. The word the Da Vinci Code has been tossed about, but I am here for anything involving gods and that kind of mythology. Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. Mi Young is a Gumaho, which is a nine-tailed fox, and she has to eat the souls of men in order to survive, and she does so every full moon, and she eats the souls of men who have committed crimes and evaded justice. However, her life is turned upside down when she kills a murderous goblin in order to save the life of a human boy. Cue the romance and the choice between her immortal life and Ji-hoon, who is, you know, the boy she rescued. You guys know I love my mythology, and I love mythological and supernatural creatures, and I love learning about new types of mythology, so obviously this book is pretty high up on my need to have it now list. I am so here for this book telling me all about the Gumaho and about some Korean mythology and mythological creatures, because I am really hoping there's going to be some more Korean myths and legends slid in there along with the Gumiho. Plus, you know, flights to Seoul are really expensive, so I'm gonna have to rely on this book to take me there. Romanov by Nadine Brands. Anastasia Nastia Romanov has one single mission. She has to smuggle an ancient spell in her suitcase on the way to exile in Siberia. It could be her family's only hope of salvation, but the Bolshevik army is after them. Her only chances of survival are to either release the spell and suffer the consequences, or enlist the help of Zash, the handsome soldier who doesn't act like the average Bolshevik. Anastasia was one of my favourite movies growing up, I can't lie to you guys, but I am really looking forward to seeing this magical twist on Anastasia. Vortex Visions by Elise Kova. Our main character Vi is basically the heir of an empire that she has never seen. Her parents ended up sacrificing a life with her in order to quell a rebellion and to obtain peace. It's now 3 years since her wardship should have ended, and she is desperate to do anything to return home. The empire is faltering beneath the burden of political infighting and a deadly plague, but Vi wonders if her inability to control her magic is the real reason why she hasn't been brought home yet. That suspicion becomes a reality when she releases power that she is not supposed to have, and it could cost her the throne. Vi fights to get her mysterious power under control, and a mysterious stranger appears from across the world with the key to unlocking her full potential. Unfortunately, that knowledge has an unspeakable price. I love Elise's books. They're always original, they're always different, they are always epic, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this one. It is a spin-off of the Air Awakens series, and I feel a mass reread coming on. Additional awesomeness that you guys should look out for is Before the Broken Star by Emily R. King. We have a female adventurer with a clockwork heart battling time itself to get vengeance for her murdered family. And you guys should also look out for Dark Shores by Danielle L. Jensen. It has piracy, it has blackmail, it has meddling gods. We have a female pirate second mate and a commander of a notorious legion. They are both kidnapped by a power-hungry ruler, and they are forced to help him conquer the unknown west. Of course, these are all of the new books coming out that I'm excited for, either debut books or new offerings from authors that we already know and love. But there are also plenty of sequels coming out that I cannot wait to get my hands on, and that I have been waiting for an entire year, and it has felt like a century, let me tell you. We have Aru Shah and the Song of Death by Roshani Chokshi. In this one, the god of love's arrows have gone missing, but the thief isn't playing Cupid. Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tommy Adeyemi. So the magic's back, But there's a civil war brewing. Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa. You know, the demon that was trapped inside Tatsumi's sword and got out in the last book. Yeah, we should probably do something about that in this one. That and the fact that he's after the scroll. Blood Witch by Susan Dennett. It is time to get Aedouan's story finally, or Baedouan as me and Shaz call him. The Vanishing Star by Maureen Johnson. The awkward moment when I thought this was a duology, but boom, turns out there's a third book, so instead of saying let's solve the mystery guys, I'm just gonna say it's time for part 2. We are gonna delve back into the insane plot twists, the clues, and get all paranoid about various characters' choice of words, in case it holds a clue to the identity of Truly Devious. I am not ready for the havoc this is going to wreak on my brain. The Demon World by Sally Green. The smoke thieves are on the run from the king. The king is using demon smoke to give kids super strength and they need to stop his plan. King of Fools by Amanda Foody. Ken and Levi have to play a dangerous game of crime and politics following the results of the Shadow Game. So those are all of the books that I am super excited for in the first half of 2019, as well as the sequels that I'm looking forward to too. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and found some books to add to your TBR list, or found some books that you weren't aware of before. Let me know down below which books you are excited to read in 2019. I will link all of my social media down below so you can come and chat to me about them on Twitter. For more similar content, feel free to hit that subscribe button and I'll see you guys next video.